Okay, in this video we're looking at a caption called BIDMAS. What is this BIDMAS for? Well, in the last video we saw how the order with which we calculate things in maths can give us very different answers, particularly the order in which we use operators. And remember, the operators are plus, minus, divide, multiply, and so on. BIDMAS tells us what order we should do things. So B stands for brackets. We always calculate whatever is in the brackets first. I stands for indicia. Indicia are powers and roots when we multiply a number by itself, but we'll look at that in the future in a different video. D for division. Then we carry out multiplication, then adding, and finally subtracting. So let's have a look at an example. Here we've got a sum 7 times 5 add 2, and there's two different ways in which we could do this. If we add 5 and 2, we get a 7, so it could be 7 times 7, which is 49. On the other hand, we could do the 7 times 5 first, and 7 times 5 would be 35. Adding the 2 will give us 37. So which one do we use? Do we do the 5 add 2 first? 7 times 7 is 49. Or do we do the 7 times 5 first? 35 add 2 is 37. Well, BIDMAS tells us that multiplication comes before addition. M comes before A. So in other words, it's this calculation down here that's right. We do the multiplication, 7 times 5 is 35, and then we add the 2, 37. So again, we've got another example by here. We've got 2 add 3 squared, and the 3 squared is an example of an indicia. In this case, it's saying to do 3 times 3. So 2 add 3 squared minus 2. So do we do the 3 squared first? 3 times 3 is 9, so that's, is it 2 add 9 take away 2? Or do we do the add-in first? 2 add 3 is 5, square it is 25, take away 2 is 23. There's all sorts of orders we could do here. So we go to BIDMAS. BIDMAS says indicia before addition or subtraction. The I comes before A or S. So in this case, we should do the indicia first, and 3 squared is 3 times 3, giving us 9. And then we use that one for the addition and the subtraction. So 2 add 9 is 11, take away 2 is 9. So the second answer was right here, because BIDMAS told us to do the indicia, in this case the squaring, 3 times 3, do that first before doing the addition or the subtraction. Here's another example then. We've got 2 times 3 plus 2 squared, and that will give us 100 if we did it would give us 50 if we did 3 add 2 is 5, square it, 5 times 5 is 25, times it by 2 is 100. Or on the other hand, we could do 3 add 2 is 5, times it by 2 is 10, square it is 100. So which is the right answer? Do we do the 2 times 3 plus 2 first, or do we do the 3 plus 2 squared first? BIDMAS says brackets before indicia. So the first job we've got to do is sort out whatever is in the brackets. So in this case, we're going to do the 3 plus 2 is 5. We're not going to multiply them. Of course, that's now going to tell us, okay, after brackets, the indicia comes. So I'll do the 5 squared, because that's an indicia. 5 times 5 is 25. And then 2 times 25 will be 50. So I did the indicia next, which would be 5 times 5 is 25. And that leaves me with 2 times 25 is 50. I did the brackets. I then did the indicia, the power, the squaring, and then I did the multiplication. BI no division, m. Here's another big one then. 3 times brackets, 2 times 3 plus 2, close brackets, squared, plus 5. Oh, crikey, it looks a massively complicated sum. But we just go to BIDMAS. So BIDMAS says, first of all, do the brackets. B stands for brackets in BIDMAS. Now the complicated thing by here is that inside the brackets I've got 2 times 3, add 2. So do I do the 2 times 3 first, or do I do the 3 plus 2 first? Well, with BIDMAS, multiplication always comes before addition. So that tells me inside the brackets, I do the 2 times 3 first, giving me 6. So when you're trying to, even inside a bracket, when you're trying to work out in what order to do things inside the brackets, you just use BIDMAS again. So BIDMAS, the B coming first, told me do whatever in the brackets. There was a multiplication and addition inside the brackets. BIDMAS tells me do the addition first. Multiplication first, sorry. And now I can finish off the rest of the brackets. 6 add 2 is 8. So the brackets is finished. We did the multiplication in the brackets, then we did the addition in the brackets because the m comes before the a in BIDMAS, and we're left with 3 times 8 squared plus 5. So do we do the multiplication first? 3 times 8. Do we add on the 5 first, 8 add 5? Or do we do the indicia first, the power, 8 squared, or 8 times 8? BIDMAS tells me the I comes first after brackets, indicia. So I have to do that power first. I have to do that squaring first and do 8 times 8. So that gives me a nice 64. So 3 times 64 plus 5. And yet there's still 2 different operators to work with. So I go back to BIDMAS again. Well, there's no division, so I can forget about the D. And next I come to multiplication. So multiplication tells me then, the M of BIDMAS tells me I'm going to do 3 times 64, which is 192. So I'm left now simply with 192 plus 5, and there is only one operator, but BIDMAS tells me to do addition next, so I go on to the A, and 192 plus 5 is 197. So every time you're working out in what order to do the different operators, if there's more than one, go through BIDMAS step by step. Is there a bracket? Is there an indicia? Is there a division? And do it in that order. And remember, if you're trying to work out the order of something inside a bracket, go through BIDMAS again.